Praise the Lord and welcome back to Jesus or Muhammad. And tonight's program is about Joseph Smith and Muhammad. We've challenged Muslims that Joseph Smith, the story of Joseph Smith of the Mormons in the 19th century, supposedly receiving a message from God and all of these things, is very, very similar to Muhammad's message of supposedly receiving revelations and being a prophet. And really, Muhammad and Joseph Smith have very poor and lacking prophetic credentials, especially in light of not only Jesus, which of course is God in the flesh, but in light of other Old Testament prophets who did miracles like Moses or Elijah or Elisha. And we ask Muslims, give us just one reason. Just give us any reason. Or what are your reasons? If here's your chance. What are your reasons that anyone should believe that Muhammad is a prophet and not Joseph Smith, because Muhammad brings nothing more than Joseph Smith to the table, if you will, to prove that he's a prophet. Now, here we have Ibrahim, who seemed like a nice, jolly old fellow, and he calls in laughing, and you know, he says he likes the caller before who says that we shouldn't spend so much time with Muslims. Ibrahim's a Muslim. I found that odd. Anyways, we, out of deference to Ibrahim, we let him ask questions, and we're asking him to prove that Muhammad is a prophet more than Joseph Smith. And what is the question? Number one, is Jesus God? And if so, how did he die on the cross? How could God die on the cross? Brother David, I'm sure you've never heard these questions before as an apologist to Islam. And I don't know, you might be taken aback and unable to answer, but I'll pray for you that you'll be able to answer right now.
Well, I certainly hope. I don't know if I'll be able to. These were. I'm just kidding. I'd like to point out what he brought up first. He said, if you want, he said he agreed with a previous caller that if we're going to investigate someone, we have to go to what the early people of his time said about him. And he said that you go to Jesus' Jewish enemies to learn about Jesus. Now, think about this. How can this man possibly say this without being completely inconsistent and illogical? First of all, he said the Jews rejected Jesus. That's wrong. Some Jews rejected Jesus, and some Jews accepted Jesus. All of Jesus' original followers were Jews. They were Jews who accepted his message based on his miracles and his fulfillment of Old Testament prophecies. So many Jews believed in him and many rejected him. But think about what he said. You go to what they said about him. What did the Jews of Jesus' time say about Jesus? Because this Muslim just told us to go to what people were saying about Jesus. What did they say? They said, kill this man because he's blaspheming. He's claiming to be the divine Son of God. Kill him. Okay, well, since I'm supposed to go to these men, and these men said that Jesus is claiming to be the divine Son of God, well, I have to reject Islam now, because Islam says Jesus never said that. These people also said, even according to the Quran, Surah 4, 157, the Jews were claiming that they had killed Jesus. Okay, well, this man told me to believe what Jesus' Jewish enemies were saying about him, and they were saying that they had killed him. So once again, Islam is wrong because it denies that the Jews killed him. So notice how he completely contradicts his own revelation, and if we take what he says seriously, we have to throw out the Quran. That's not what we do, my friends. First of all, we don't be totally inconsistent. Second of all, you go to the people who knew Jesus best. The people who knew Jesus best were his followers. They agreed that he died on the cross, that he claimed to be divine, that he rose from the dead to confirm his message. And notice, even the Jewish enemies grant so much about Jesus. They grant that he's performing miracles when they said he must be performing these by the power of Satan. So what are they doing? They're admitting that he's living a miraculous life. They admit that he dies on the cross. They admit that he claims to be divine. Of course we should consider what they say. What you don't consider is someone who comes along 600 years later and totally contradicts what everyone in the first century says. You don't do that. That's just silly. But that's what Muslims do. Now, as for his objections, he says, if we believe in God, is Jesus God? Well, of course Jesus is God. Why do we believe Jesus is God? Because we just invented that? No. First of all, we have an Old Testament prophecy, Isaiah 9:6, which tells us that God is going to enter into his creation. And when Jesus comes into this world, first of all, the angel Gabriel tells us that Jesus is the divine Son of the Almighty. And Jesus, over and over again in his public ministry, claims to be the divine Son of God. He claims to be from God. So who are we going to believe? Are we going to believe what Muhammad says 600 years later about Jesus, or are we going to believe Jesus himself? I'm going to believe Jesus himself, and he claimed to be divine. Since he's the one who rose from the dead, he's the one I'm going to believe. He claimed to be God, so of course Jesus is God. If you say he's wrong, fine, but you also have to reject Muhammad because he says that Jesus is a prophet who speaks the truth. In other words, you can't say Jesus is not God and he speaks the truth. Because if he's not God, then he's a liar or insane or something. So you Muslims, you just have a really inconsistent position. But a more interesting question, if Jesus is God, how can he die? Now, think about this. Muslims believe in a soul. They believe that you have the body and you have the soul. The body can die and the soul lives on. They have no problem believing this. But what are we saying? We're saying that God, the Almighty, can unite himself to a human nature, and that human nature can die even though God does not die. Where's the problem here? How is this illogical? When we say Jesus died, we're talking to his human nature, his body died. Are we saying his divine nature died? No, of course not. So what's the problem here? Now, just to carry this a bit further, in Christianity and in Judaism, God can enter into his creation anytime he wants. God walked in the garden with Adam. God can enter into his creation. We see in various places in the Old Testament that God can enter into his creation. So is it a problem for God being able to enter into his creation in the person of Jesus of Nazareth? Of course not. Now, you Muslims, if you have a problem with this, please call and tell me, can God enter into his creation? Can Allah, if he wants, enter into his creation? Does he have the power? If you tell me no, then I don't know what you mean by God. I don't know if you say God can't possibly enter into his creation. He's just not strong enough if he wants to. He doesn't have that power. He could want to, but he just couldn't do it. I don't know what you mean by God. God is all powerful. God can do anything he wants. In the Christian scriptures, God can enter into his creation. He does enter into his creation, and he does enter his creation as Jesus of Nazareth. But if you have a problem with this, if you have a problem with God entering into his creation and being in a specific place at a specific time, you've just refuted Islam. How do you do so? Well, let me look at a couple of passages very briefly. According to Surah 69:17, when Judgment Day comes, 8 angels will carry God around on his throne. So God will be in a specific place at a specific time being carried around by angels. You don't have a problem with that? You're telling me God can't be in a specific place at a specific time